Sesko to Manchester United. Let's talk about it. A huge move for the Red Devils. This move has been in the making for the last couple of weeks, almost to a month at this point. First, he's been linked to Arsenal for, I would say, about a year and a half even. But things obviously didn't look that way because, of course, Gyökeres ends up going to Arsenal before him. So then the real suitors for Sesko at this point were United, and it was Newcastle. And there was a lot of rumors, as on par with the majority of these transfer things, where, he only wants Newcastle, he only wants Manchester United. But as more and more reports came out, it seemed, I think about a couple days ago, that he really only wanted Manchester United, and they ended up getting him. It was official yesterday, but the money didn't come out till today. So again, he's worth about 85 million. That's what they're saying. So a little bit of a pricier tag for Sesko, but at the same time, you're banking on the upside. He's 22 years old. And again, you have him locked up for 5 years. And, with him signing a 5-year deal, in my opinion, it shows that he is buying in on what Manchester United are, building at this current time with Amorim. We'll see, again, how he fits in their system. What happens with Højlund. Not that Højlund is, your make or break player for this team, but still, how does he fit into the team? How do him and Sesko kind of coexist? But still, this is a good move for Manchester United again. And one of the things I have to give them a ton of credit about, and we'll talk about this more later with a couple other players, but man, they still have the pool. Now, obviously, of course, they still have pool. They're one of, if not the biggest club in the world, other than maybe Real Madrid. But still, just of how ugly their season was last year, I was very curious, do modern players, value United at this point? This is not United from 2008, even in the 90s. This is not, the United that a majority of people grew up with. They've given us about a 10-year track record at this point of they're a team that usually falls short. They're not as good as people project them to be. And this year was just an ugly year. It was ugly. It was bad. They could have had some saving grace with trying to win in the Europa League, and they still didn't do that, and they lost to Spurs. It just was an awful year for them, and I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong, I think they finished 17th. It was 17th or 16th. I haven't checked in a little bit, but still. This team was so close to getting relegated, and it was just ugly, really. And it was just an awful year for Manchester United. So that's why, for me, personally, I'm shocked that people still want to go there. Now, of course, I don't support United in any way, so I have no, real ties to the club, and I don't have any, what's the word? I just don't see them as, that club. But, people that still grew up with United being one of the premier teams growing up, I can see why you'd want to go there. And then also now there's a little bit more of a chip on your shoulder to be a part of almost the solution, the fix for this club, because the club has not been in this position in, I don't know if they've ever really been here. Again, I haven't looked at a ton of history going back, but it's been a very, very long time since United has been this bad. So I think that maybe does give a little bit of a chip to the people that do want to come into the club and be like, hey, we're going to turn this around. We're going to be the new legends. We're going to be the face of this new project for Manchester United. So I guess there's some allure there, but overall, I think it's a good move for them. Again, you're getting a 22-year-old striker, a physical phenom. Again, he's locked up till he'll be 27, and you got him for a little bit. Again, he has some things to prove, but still, you're banking on the upside. And again, he wanted to go to your club. From all the reports, he wanted Manchester United. So again, I said this about Gyökeres, and you're going to want this again with really any player. You want someone that's going to want to play for the badge. They want to go to your club. They want to be a player for your team. And you don't want a guy that's just going for a paycheck or, he maybe felt forced into the move. No, it seemed like he really did want to go to United. So that's always a plus. Overall, I think it was a good move. Again, you paid a little bit of bread, but regardless, you were going to have to do that. So, I really do like the move for them. And again, I'm shocked that they still have this much pool within the transfer window in the transfer market. And overall, this has just been a bounce-back offseason for United. Again, I had mentioned there were other players that came there. I didn't make any videos on them, so we might as well talk about it now. You're now combining Sesko with Cunha and Mbeumo, two proven players in the Premier League that can both create and score. And now you combine that with the striker. I just think that on paper, at least, we have to see again how all this fits into Amorim's system. But in my opinion, this is just an overall good fit. I mean, again, you're upgrading. I mean, when we look back at last year's team for United, like, there was not a lot of talent attacking. I mean, Garnacho, he's okay at best. I'm not a big Garnacho guy. Rashford really wasn't doing too much for them. And then, of course, he goes on loan to Villa. Højlund. He was not great. I mean, their best player by far attacking was Bruno, and that's not really even his role. Like, obviously, yes, he is an attacker. He's going to create, but he was still having to score so many goals for that side, and he really honestly carried them. I mean, Maguire was getting involved. Even Kobe Mainoo didn't have the greatest year. Like, there just wasn't a ton to rely on, and that attack was always really, really, really hard to watch at times. So, again, I just think even if you don't like United, even if you don't necessarily rate these players that high, you have to say that they are getting better, because these guys, again, number one, again, you're getting the phenom striker, a young one as well with a ton of upside, and then you're getting two Prem-proven players. It's not like these guys have played in other leagues. Cunha and Mbeumo, they both have done a very good job in the Prem. So I just think this is a really good move for United, and again, they still have that pool on players, and that's what shocked me a little bit was, again, I already said, so I'm not going to go on a huge rant about it, but this is a big project. I mean, this is a borderline rebuild just because of how bad last year was. And, I mean, you have to sell to these guys, look, we're not playing in the Champions League. Like, we're not doing that. You're really only playing in the Prem. So it's just a big sell. And, again, I have to give him credit. You know, you get these three attackers, and I think that's only going to make your side better, because that was one of, United's really big weaknesses last year was just how awful the attack was. And then if they can combine this with Donnarumma from PSG as well, there's been some talk about that. Obviously, he's a clear upgrade over Onana. I think that would be huge for them, because I've watched him so much just because of the Champions League campaign this year. He's done a fantastic job. Always was making huge saves. Even for me, I'm an Arsenal fan. This man single-handedly saved PSG in that first leg, because Arsenal probably could have had 2 to 3 goals, and he just saved every single shot. So I think that would be a huge upgrade for them as well. And again, we'll just have to see with that one. But let's say he does come to United, they're only going to be obviously a better team. So I don't know where they're going to rank. I really have to go through the entire league and kind of really do a kind of a deep dive on just where I have teams ranking and where I think where I think they're going to finish throughout the next year's campaign. But I think minimum, I mean, they have to maybe be a top 9, top 8 team, just because, again, you're getting so much better just with the attack. This is just the attack. If you get another premier goalkeeper in there and maybe one other player, again, I'm not saying they are an elite team. They're not, on Liverpool's level, City's level, Arsenal's level, even Chelsea's level. But they have to be better than last year's team. I mean, it really, like I said, it cannot get worse than what we saw last year. So I think by far this is going, or at least on paper, this is going to elevate United. And again, we will have to see. But man, combining these 3 players, I just don't see how this isn't going to be a lot more enjoyable of a watch and overall a better football team. And last thing I have to say about United is another positive for them. This team isn't necessarily going to have a ton of pressure. And that's because they aren't going, and I mentioned it, they're not going to be in the Champions League. You're not going to be in the Europa League. You're just really playing in the Prem. Yes, you have some cup competitions, of course, but that's every year. They really just get to focus on the Prem. And I wonder if this really will help the team just overall, I guess, get a better feel of themselves, I guess, just because they had a lot to deal with over the last couple of years. I mean, they did make Champions League. I think it was 2 years ago, and then they got knocked out in that knockout stage, which was pretty embarrassing. And then, yes, you still won an FA Cup, but you weren't fantastic. Well, I guess they were okay in the league, but obviously, again, last year was so ugly. Even when you try to win some silverware, you still fail in, the Europa League. It just didn't go their way. So I think with maybe less distractions, I think it could help, especially with, again, new players coming into the system. It's just a little bit less pressure, also less games on the body. I think it's overall positive. Obviously, again, you want to be competing in Europe, but for where United are at right now, you're going to have to build that base. You're going to have to really build the foundation of what this club is going to look like in the next couple of years. And I think they can do that with a nice, or at least a way better league campaign where they maybe finish, again, top 8, Maybe, if they get top 5, that would be insane just because of, again, how much of a bounce back it would be. But regardless, I think focusing only on the Prem and just the English Cups, I really don't think that's going to be a bad thing in the long run for this team. And now onto the Premier League, just something I thought was interesting. And this is really based on if Isak goes to Liverpool. But regardless, you could still say it. But if Isak goes to Liverpool, the big six is going to be looking crazy when it comes to the strikers. Now, obviously, we're not going to be saying that about Chelsea or Tottenham, though I do like the Pedro move for Chelsea. There's a different level of striker here. When you look at when you look at these other teams in the big six, if Isak goes to Liverpool, Isak at Liverpool, City with Holland, Gyökeres with Arsenal, and then Sesko with Manchester United, that's something that I'm very interested in seeing. I'm very interested in watching that, especially week 1, Arsenal versus United. Sesko and Gyökeres, they were both linked to both teams. So I'm curious to see. I mean, again, things went the way they went. It seems like both of them wanted to go to the teams that they actually really wanted to go to. Like, I guess, I don't know. There were still a ton of reports that both of them wanted to go either way. Again, I don't know all that stuff. You get a new report every other day. But I'm very curious to see how that goes. And again, we just have 2 new young strikers. I know Sesko is definitely a lot younger than Gyökeres, but still, you are getting just a lot more talent, in my opinion, in the Prem. Not that the Prem wasn't super talented, but again, we're just the league is just continuing to add more elite talent, and I think it's just going to be really good for the game. I'm very excited to see all of these elite strikers in the league. Even if Isak isn't going to Liverpool, he's still going to be in the Prem. So I'm very excited, and it's just another reason why I need this season to start right now. But that's all I have for this one. Just wanted to break this one down. I've been waiting on this move. Again, did I think it was going to take this long? Honestly, no. But I'm very interested to see how he fits in with this Manchester United team, how, again, all their new transfers coexist. I think it will be definitely a better product. Do I think they're going to be necessarily winning the league? No. But at the same time, this is Amorim's first, year. It's his first real year, if you want to call it like that, and his first real, transfer market and everything. So I'm very interested to see how this all plays out. We will, of course, keep an eye on it, but just wanted to talk about this. And yeah, if you like this video, feel free to give it a like. If you have any thoughts down below on Sesko going to Man U, leave a comment down below. I will definitely respond. If you like my type of content, feel free to subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace, guys.